You are watching the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, where a group of nobodies speak to an actual somebody. And now your hosts, John and Frank.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm John.
You want to be a star, kid?
Oh, God.
I'm Frank.
And welcome to the Nothing Podcast.
With Nobody Important.
So, as you can see, Frankie's really getting into it. This week, our friend John Stillwaggon joins us, and he is an actor.
Is he?
Yes, what a strange departure from what we've been doing this season. Lots of theatrical talk.
I'll put this down now.
Yeah.
So, John's an actor. We know him for a lot of years. He's super high energy. He goes a mile a minute.
Yep.
And he's probably one of the funniest people I know.
Yeah, I mean, some people would say if there was to be a third of Frank and I, it would be John.
It's a problem.
And that's part of the reason why we were like, we have to get John in here, because it's just a non-stop, just cavalcade of weird crap that goes on throughout this episode.
Yeah.
Couple of different things. Baby Daisy is here with us for the beginning part, at least the first half of this episode.
Yep.
You will maybe see her, maybe not see her. I haven't actually looked at the tape just yet.
You might hear her.
You're definitely going to hear her. She might make an appearance, as well as some other special guests. We've got, of course, Adele and Danielle are here with us in the studio.
So if you consider yourself a thespian, staple your shirt down the middle.
Play your obnoxious improv games.
Smear Nutella all over your face.
And bring out your biggest Jamaican banana for this week's guest.
I'm John Stillwaggon, and I'm a professional actor.
All right, here we are, ready to watch a train wreck. We've got our good friend John is here with us. Still John Wagon, welcome.
What an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's
You really-
a real thrill.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
I love you both as humans and as artists and as pillars of society.
Hey, we'll get into this. Literally did the one thing I said
didn't
we
want to
shouldn't
do.
do with this episode. That's fine. I said this episode is going to just turn into ego stroking in a triangle. It should not be that.
Everyone pet each other.
I also
God.
want to point out, as we mentioned in our intro, the baby who's in the studio with us, and you very well may hear throughout the course of this episode.
Woo-hoo,
Yay!
yeah.
Daisy is joining us because John has done a lot of acting in children's theater, and we thought maybe she would enjoy him.
And, you know, based on, first of all, she is beautiful and wonderful, just like her mama.
That's true.
And I'm so glad she's here. I have to say that the fact that I've attempted to entertain children for 7.5 years doesn't necessarily mean I've succeeded. I think, you know,
Right.
most of the time, but, you know, it's not a money back guarantee.
Basically, they're afraid of you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to start with a lightning round.
Do you have a stage in your white van? Okay.
So he just get candy out of his
I play
pocket.
mostly villains, so
I'm an
yes,
actor
I
for
make children cry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have these unwrapped Werthers. Okay, so we're going to do a lightning round with you.
Amazing. Hopefully it'll move quickly.
You're an actor, right? So what's going to happen here is we're going to ask you to tell your friends who are watching this, act like you've ever heard this show before and why they should listen to it. Go ahead.
Oh, this show?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's run by two dashingly handsome, incredibly smart, kind,
Gentle.
wonderful, talented artists.
Yes.
All of that is true.
Yeah.
And what they do,
Yeah.
it shakes awake the it shakes the dust
Yeah.
Off what?
off the common interview, the common podcast.
Shakes the tree of knowledge,
Right.
as it were.
You
Baobab.
Yeah.
you walk in a lamb and you come out a lion.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
As an audience member and as a humane being.
Yes. Great. Now, lightning round. This is wrap part 2. Describe the show to your friends, but you don't know what a podcast is.
Okay. When humans make their technical times, most
I
of
read the technical Wall Street Journal.
New York Times on Thursdays.
don't we all? There's a casting that happens. You cast out your thoughts, feelings,
Inhibitions.
ideas. You cast
your
off
net. Your net.
Yeah, you cast off your net.
Yeah.
And you retrieve
Sure.
pods, little pods of knowledge,
Yeah.
which you plant in your garden, in your heart,
Yeah.
in your mind
Cast them about.
and in the eyes and ears of children everywhere.
Yeah,
That's
I like
exactly
it.
right.
I like
That's-
it.
that's a
Beautiful.
podcast.
That's beautiful. So, John, welcome. Now,
Thank you.
officially, after the lightning round is over, you're an actor. I want to say that we have talked, especially this season on this show, a lot about theater, what theater means.
Sure, which is why our numbers are at an all-time low.
right. I hope you all like theater performances and whatnot. I don't want to talk about all that. I want to put in a buzzer if I could. I can't. About to stop us if we talk about the things we always talk about. Daisy, listen to
Daisy's
me.
the buzzer.
Daisy's the buzzer. Daisy's like, Dad, you're talking too much.
I'm going to start calling Daisy Buzz. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, I don't want to repeat a lot of the same stuff we talk about, but we're going to talk about acting.
Cool.
Acting talent. is what I
Go on, talk about acting
I want to
talent.
talk about acting. Well, yes, we're gonna have an accent off later.
Oh,
Very
nice.
offensive.
Oh God!
Yes.
People drive off the road while they're listening.
Quick, John, Mandarin. So, basically, though, if
Cancelled.
you're watching at home, you're watching just a little insight into what you're going to talk about acting and whatnot. But for those of you who are watching or listening at home, a little insight of what you're getting, and Danielle and Adele can confirm this. You are listening to three of the same person.
Okay. So I can say safely, you're the most annoying people. With our powers combined, we can clear a room.
Oh yeah.
Especially combined.
Yeah.
I think one of us in isolation, in nature, in the woods,
Yeah.
is tolerable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Two of us is pushing it, and three is not humane, is actually condemned by the Geneva Conventions. Like, it's not
Danielle, who we will not cut to currently because she's holding the baby.
glorious.
Danielle can confirm that when the three of us are together, she has no idea what we're talking about.
Right, that's right.
Ever. We just talk and talk and talk, and she can't follow it at all.
And she is married to one of us and is friends with the other two. So I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I don't know what the audience is going to think.
It's all
of it.
just word
Yeah.
association.
That's
Right,
what
yeah.
John said. So John wanted to keep out a ticker, a counter for every time we just do a stupid word association, but thought Danielle would have to make hundreds of graphics.
I was like, Danielle, could you make 300 numbers for me, please?
So I will say this: something we like to do is word association, but not in a clinical sense of high, low.
Right.
Not like that. But like, for example, you said Geneva Convention a minute ago. Now, John was talking, but if he didn't, I was going to cut in and say, and we're not even liked by Gina Davis. Because in my mind, Geneva Convention, it sounds just like Gina Davis.
And I would say that Davis Rules was a really underappreciated comedy in the 90s.
What is that?
Remember, I'm kind of old.
And I would bring
I'm
up...
not afraid to say it. I'm 42.
I would bring up a very niche reference to our favorite show we ever did together, which was Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Co-starring Adam Davis.
Yes, we did. That's right.
All-star cast.
It was.
Monster
That's
piece.
right.
Um,
So, John, you're an actor.
Why?
So act like you like to be here.
I have a start. I'd like to start somewhere.
Go
with it.
ahead.
Back in your history, something you had told me once. I think you present as very boisterous,
He's
outgoing.
presenting.
You're presenting rearward in the primate exhibit.
I'm presidenting.
My question for
Buckle
you-
up, audience.
But this was not always the case. Because as a child, you told me you had a stutter.
I did.
What's the story?
Okay.
And where did the stutter go?
Well,
And could you do it again just to show us how it was?
I
This is your best
actually
Joe
had
Biden.
to. I had to. Down in Santone, we did a show called Tribes, and it was actually about some deaf characters, and I was one of the hearing characters, but I had my own challenge as having a stutter, and I wasn't sure I wanted to take the part.
Right.
Because I was like, yikes! That's like, it was a difficult time for me, but I'm glad I did it because it was very like cathartic and nice. And some of the people in the audience also had stutters. And so,
Right,
when
right,
we had
right.
some of the talkbacks afterwards, I think they
took a
really-
long
Took a while.
Yes,
That's
it
why.
did take a while.
The talkback took a while.
It took double the time.
Double
Everybody
the
was
time.
being polite and not finishing each other's sentences.
Yes, exactly. There's,
I bet Adele's smiling.
yeah.
Yes, I knew she
Just
would
like
that
the
one.
executioner, always finishing people's sentences. Anyway, so
Oh, God.
but where it started was, I really think a lot of it was, I come from a real big family of wonderful, loving people, but also It's a big, loving Irish Catholic family. Everyone's talking all the time. I'm the youngest of 6, actually.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so getting a word in edgewise was not always easy.
Right.
And so I think that was probably part of it. And I felt like a pressure of speech, like,
Yes.
I better talk now. And so it hit in like 5th grade, didn't totally shake it until 9th grade. And there were times, one of the real sticking times of my stutter was when I would pick up the phone and I would try to say hello and I get stuck in the H. And I tried a few things and none of them worked. One of them was hi. People were confused.
There's also an H.
Why were they confused? Because
they
no
didn't-
one says that when they
Well, yeah. First of all, it was weird, but also like they didn't quite hear it.
Mm.
Then I tried like the ultra white man yellow.
No,
Not a
that's
hit.
good. Substitute for
Not
Y.
a hit. Not a hit. Then I tried low.
Low. He's been low.
Did not work. None of these worked. People were just
You ever
confused.
tried Stillwaggon residence?
Oh, see that? Oh, that would have been
That
great.
would have been great.
That'd be great. What finally worked was music, because I would never stutter while I was singing. So while I was approaching the phone, I would sing, "You say goodbye, and I say hello," as I picked up the phone,
Wow.
and I could do it. And that sort of opened something up for me, where when I started doing plays, the first play I ever did, freshman year in high school, I was Baby John in West Side Story. Sure. And he's kind of an overwhelmed character because he's young and naive and stuff. And so there was no acting involved. It was just me, actually. Yeah. But at one point, I was stuttering on stage. And the director said, "It's an interesting choice you're making with that stutter, but I actually don't think that he's such a nervous character. I just think he's naive and wide-eyed." And I had to tell him, "It's not a choice. I'm actually stuttering up here." And he gave me wonderful, wonderful advice. He said, "Listen, I know being up there may make you nervous." He said, "but everyone out there is excited to be there, and they're rooting for you, and they can't wait to hear what you have to say." And suddenly it was my turn to speak. No one was going to cut me off. And all these people were excited. They weren't sitting there with a pad trying to criticize me.
Right.
They were, as David Mamet says, they're out on a hot date, not to give blood.
Right.
So they're all excited to be there. It's like we're all at a party together. It's not a competition. So it wasn't until I started doing plays that the stutter actually went away.
Yeah.
And I haven't stuttered since I was in 9th grade, and I haven't shut up since. So
There you go.
It worked.
it kind of worked in the opposite
went
direction.
too far.
Yeah, it went a little too far.
When you would stutter, would you be very much in your head worried that it was going to stutter? Were you in like
Yes.
a feedback loop of I'm stuttering? I knew I was going to stutter. Now I'm stuttering again.
Big
I knew
time.
I was going to stutter.
Big time. And it would hit on R's. It would hit on T's. It would hit on S's and D's. It would even hit on I. And that was a perfect example of the feedback loop. I would raise my hand in class and I would go, I. And the weird thing about that is I had finished the sound.
You said it.
I wasn't stuck on the
Yeah.
I. I just couldn't move past it.
And what would you think as these were the eyes coming out?
Just keep talking, just keep talking, just keep talking, just keep talking. You know what I mean? Like, oh, just get it out, get it out. And of course, the harder you say, just get it out,
Right.
the less
pressure.
it's going to come
See,
out.
if you were Italian, it wouldn't have mattered because they were looking going, hey.
Well, hey, Frankie does a great stutter too.
I was
with
going to
Billy
say,
Bibbit.
we were in a
did a
show
stutter,
where Frankie
that's right,
had to do
I
a
guess I
stutter.
forgot that.
And I sing, people say I sing like Ruben stuttered.
Yeah, I always said that. I'm the Clay Aiken to your Ruben
That's right.
stuttered.
That's right. So we all have that in common.
Which means
Danielle, put another one on the graphic.
means America loves Panepinto more,
Right.
but you're going to end up being more wealthy and successful, Frankie?
Yes.
Is that, okay, all right.
I'm
that's
America's
interesting.
sweetheart,
I see.
but he has the soul to get you through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Makes you a good combo.
Yeah, Daisy.
Thank you, Daisy.
It's true. So it's amazing though because you took what you saw as your big hill to climb and used it to further your ability on stage, right? You kind of leaned into it, right? Where you said we're like they're not out there to Daisy, please. They're not out. You said they're not out there to criticize you. They're there to enjoy the show. I've said that. I say it all the time. Like I've said it to Danielle before. Like whenever somebody's nervous to get up on stage, I'm like, you think these people are out there? Everybody's rooting for you.
Yes,
That's right.
Everybody's rooting for you.
Yes.
That's right.
Nobody's sitting out there going, man, I hope this show sucks.
No. But
I've
I
done
will
that a
say
few times.
we
I
do
haven't
we like to see a stinker sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
every now and then a good howler is fantastic.
Yeah.
But even then they're rooting for you.
Yeah.
They
Sure,
want like a gaudy disaster.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
You want the set to fall down.
Yes. Well, but in a safe way.
Yeah.
Set
Listen,
to fall
whatever
down in a
happens,
safe way.
whatever happens.
I don't mean like a Safeway drugstore. I mean like
was
in
gonna
a
say
way
Safeway
that is
drugstore,
safe.
right? I was thinking about Safe Light. So
Adele's having safe like repairs, safe like replace.
so now people. I've said literally we're going back to something I've said on that past episodes before, where I'm like, I'm an actor, right? And I say I don't want to do that. You're an actor, as in you are a working actor. That's what you do for a living. Tell us about that. Tell Daisy how about acting is.
You know, Daisy, I know you're definitely going to be an actor. There's no escaping it because you have two wonderful actors as parents. And look around this room at your influences. You know, there's no escape.
You better not play sports.
Yeah, you better not
Oh,
play
man.
sports.
This kid kicks a
You
ball.
better
out of my
not do
house.
anything that pays. No,
Kick it
there's
right out the front door.
No, but yeah. So you're a professional actor, though. Like, so it's funny when you think about professional actor. You think of a certain thing. You're like Broadway, or you're like, I've seen them in movies. What have I seen them in? You're a professional actor who kind of is professional in a totally different way. Like you're a working actor who is just getting paid to do shorter gig shows. You don't do the long-term things.
Sure.
So how did you find your way into kind of doing that, making it your career in a backdoor way? Not, you know.
There's a you know,
Right at the end there.
if you ever seen
Had to get it in.
If you ever seen Lady Hawk, you ever seen Lady Hawk?
Nope.
No.
It's great. There's a part where a young Matthew Broderick is being asked by a sort of brooding Rutger Hauer. He said, you were the thief who escaped the dungeons of Aquila and no one's ever done it. So you have to help me get back in there. And Matthew Broderick says, how did I get out? I fell down a hole and followed my nose. And sometimes that's how I feel if someone says, how did you make a career as an actor? Sometimes I'm like, I fell down a hole and followed my nose. But I think the biggest thing was, a lot of times they say acting is about, being in the right place at the right time, which it certainly is. So part of it is simply persistence. You have to put yourself in as many different places and in as many different times so that you can be in the right place at the right time. It's just simply a numbers game. It's also allow yourself to be surprised by what the path might be. I never imagined I'd end up in Texas, but my wonderful wife, Carolyn, and I ended up touring down there for like 7.5 years.
Right.
And, and that ended up being our full-time job. And then, some of the gigs you end up taking might be absolute dream projects. And some of them might be, this is a little weird and strange and stuff, but take those gigs as long as they're safe, as long as you're not being asked to do anything that is like physically dangerous or morally horrifying to you. Go ahead and take it because it might be
A stepping stone.
a stepping stone and a great surprise artistically. You might grow and you might experience something new. I think the key, you can always only control your end of every experience. The wonderful Kirill Scheinerman once said to me, because he, besides being a great actor, he's also a yogi, and he said one of his points he meditates on is how you do one thing is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. If you take a project, treat it like you're playing Hamlet.
Yes.
Don't treat it like, this is just a thing I picked up, blah, 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 blah. I can't tell you the things that I've taken and been like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a try. But because I brought my all to them, maybe someone saw me in that and said, I like this guy.
Right.
I'm going to cast him in something else. Treat everything like that. The basic,
Daisy,
she doesn't
she's
agree
like,
at all.
"That's not
She's like,
good
you're
advice.
right. Okay.
That's not good advice.
I only work for $2,000 a week. All right. I understand. But there's like the big things for me as far as approach are, be kind, be prepared, be on time, and kick ass.
And you do all those things. Like, having worked with you, like that's what's so impressive.
I
Like,
appreciate that.
You show up no matter what it is, ready to go. You are there.
Did you hear Daisy?
I don't know. The mic might not hear
Danny
Daisy.
does too. I mean, I've seen him. You know.
I can't acknowledge Daisy all the time.
Danielle,
I don't know.
do you hear Daisy on the?
I don't know. I'm literally next to her.
Yeah. No, I mean you do that. You do that. That's
Yeah,
the
he
most
does.
impressive thing is that you show up ready to be there, no matter what it is.
Thank you.
And like I think that's what I find so impressive is like not to be. I said going into this that this wasn't going to be just a stroking of egos, but whatever.
Just you wait.
We can stroke your ego. Just don't talk about us.
Don't talk
I
about
will.
us.
I will.
God, can somebody get that child some children's theater?
No, she's not that bad.
Somebody put on an ant suit. You did that, right?
Oh, it's gonna happen.
You did that.
Oh yeah.
What color ant were you?
I was the blue ant.
Okay.
And this was a masterpiece. Carolyn made a show, Children for the Very Young. So her age, or maybe just a little older, but not much older. And the red ant and the blue ant met, and the red ant spoke, and the blue ant did not speak, but communicated through rhythm.
Yeah.
So they had to learn to communicate with each other. And the red ant initially built a wall to separate herself from the blue ant. And over the course of the play, when they learned to communicate, they took apart the wall and built a bridge. And so my wife's a genius
What's
in
the name
so
of that
many
play?
ways. What's that?
What was the name of that play?
It's called Ants Go Marching.
Sure it is.
Yeah. And they, she's a genius in so many ways, except her taste in men. But the, one of the things she does so well is writing for children, and like she takes the responsibility very seriously as far as what are we giving them and what kind of children are we sending out into the world? Are they kinder and wiser and more literate and, smarter and all these things?
Wow.
So, when I don't want to go into this too early, but back just what you were saying about taking every role so seriously and really giving it your all. You don't also take it too seriously where you're like, I'm an actor. Like you take it seriously as a professional and not necessarily as a brooding actor. And right.
Appreciate that.
But during quarantine, we did, to keep people's interests, we did these screenplay readings of movies where we were like, how are we going to keep ourselves active?
Love them.
And we did screenplay readings with people of varying ability, which was the point.
Yeah.
And I came up with this idea in my parents' bathroom where I said, these are roles that you may never get to play. Mm-hmm. And using Ghostbusters, obviously I'm a fan of that. I was sitting there going, if we did this, I could play Peter Venkman. I'll never get to play that role, ever.
Yep.
Like, no matter how long I'm doing theater, that's never going to come up.
Especially with movies.
With
movies in particular.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we do this and take a creative, maybe even creative liberties with these roles? Mm-hmm. So we started it, whatever. And I didn't think you'd get involved because I was like, he's working. He's a working actor. And every time I think you're too big for something, turns out you're not.
You play Augustus Gloop in Charlie and John
That
Henry
was your first
and
one.
rub Nutella all over your face.
When we did
Commitment. That's what that is.
when we did Mrs. Doubtfire, and you played Mrs. Doubtfire, and you were you showed up for the part with the pie. We knew he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And he comes in with the white stuff. Well, hello! With the white stuff on Zoom. And then it turns out that you were supposed to bring something and you forgot it or something. And then all you had around was the sour cream that came with your dinner.
Oh my God.
And you don't even eat sour cream. You think it's gross. And you smeared it all over your face.
A year of therapy to try to block that out. And now I remember the smell and a little bit of the taste of sour cream. I'm like, listen, you cannot do Mrs. Doubtfire without the hello. You can't. No.
You look at how. I need you to explain to me right now how did you not watch the quality of the rest of the production and never once say to yourself, I don't have to go all out here. You did it. And every time it was like, Why?
Why did you do
Waiting for Augustus Gloop. Yeah, with all the other kids were played by actual teenagers, and then it was you doing a German accent with chocolate smeared all over your face.
My gigantic beard, dude. Don't forget the gigantic
on
beard.
Zoom, when the rest of the cast were people we had to beg to do it, and then there's you with the lederhosen. And why? Where do you find the wherewithal to throw yourself so much into these things?
I talk a big game about like the art of acting and the craft of acting. Really, it's mostly rubbing food on your face and scaring children.
Oh,
I mean, that's really
wait a
what it
minute.
is.
What about when we did Elf and you made the actual pasta that he makes
Yes.
with all the candy and stuff on it, and you ate the whole thing right in front of us? The reading stopped for 2 minutes to watch you eat the candy pasta.
I was not going to play Buddy if I wasn't going to get to eat the
Again, though, you could
spaghetti, chocolate sauce, M&M's, mints, mints, yeah.
Fireman's?
We watched, Carolyn and I watched that scene, and I was like, okay, he doesn't put the tomato sauce on. Because that actually would have sent it over the edge. The rest of it tasted weird.
It looked like, in a movie, it looks like it's good. Once he puts the syrup on it, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's probably
weird,
good.
but kind of good. If there had been tomato sauce, that would have been the end.
No.
Oh, that's where you draw the line.
You would have done it
yeah.
anyway.
Well,
though.
John
I totally
Stillwaggon
would've done it.
has this thing where, I don't know how we started doing this. Whenever you're out to eat with John Stillwaggon, if you dare him, he'll always do the thing. He's never said no ever. So the joke has become, you ever do this with him?
No, I don't
While
think
he's
so.
eating in a public place, whatever he's eating, this could be buffalo wings, this could be funnel cake. You say to him, how would a real man eat that? And then he just destroys it. He just shoves it in his face. I have a picture of you covered in powdered sugar. And you look like Powder, the movie. Why do you go so hard? Is what we want to know.
Those two questions are oddly related. Like, why and how are you so committed as an actor, and why do you shove chocolate cake that you paid good money for onto your face at the bequest? Is it bequest?
Yeah,
Behest or request?
Both. It's both.
If it is bequeathed to you by
The behesting.
your friend, by the behesting.
The Cliff Hesse.
By Cliff Hesse.
Sure
God
is.
bless Cliff Hesse.
Bing.
Love that man. So, I threw him on the ground during Music Man, by the way. And Cliff,
On purpose?
No, not on purpose. You know, in a side note.
If you want to learn more about Cliff Hesse, his episode is coming up later this season.
Hey! Ask him about when I threw him on the ground in the middle of 76 trombones.
Love it.
In Bay Ridge in 2007. So, which, by the way, is the reason I know all of you. I'll get into that later.
We
But-
just want to know why you go so hard.
Okay. I do believe that, as a child, I accepted dares, not in the Christmas Story, double dog dare you stick your tongue to the pole. That's not the kind of dare I would take. The actual danger, no, but embarrassment. There was oh, you won't do this in public. I'm like, this is where I am courageous. I'm not going to jump off the ladder or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was a very fearful child in that way, but there was always this thing of just sort of a gamesmanship. Yes, I will do this thing that you guys think is ridiculous. I bet I can do it. So that is probably what got me involved in theater in the first place. But also I have been, and this is, I've been very lucky in the family I was raised in and the place I was raised in and the wonderful people I've met, that approaching life boldly has rewarded me. The times I approach life boldly, I'm rewarded for it most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't end up so well, but I think acting wise, you figure out at some point as an actor, you contend with your own replaceability. You will at some point feel like, I am not the only person who could play this part. And that is not to take away anyone's humanity or what makes them special. But clearly, Macbeth has been done hundreds of thousands, if not millions of times since it was written. There have been a lot of Macbeths. There will be a lot more Macbeths.
Probably not millions, but
Right, yeah. But if...
let's say dozens.
It doesn't, yeah.
Millions.
Maybe not like
Macbeth
thousands.
again?
Macbeth's as far as the eye can
As far as
see.
the eye can see. But like, so when Carolyn and I did Macbeth, I had to say, I'm not Macbeth because I'm the only one who can play him. All I can bring to him uniquely is me. So if I'm not going to be bold, then why am I even here?
Right.
I have to be that bold because otherwise you're going to get something that's kind of similar to whatever you have already seen. You have to, like, courage to me is the most endearing trait of an artist, is to see someone's courage either on stage or in what they paint or what they sing or whatever. That's the most inspiring thing for the audience. So yeah, I think that's why I rub chocolate all over my beard when playing Augustus Gloop.
Well, because bottom line is we remember what role you played in that one, and we did like 50, 60 something movies. Like, so your parts are always memorable. My nephews started doing those things, and they would say right away they knew you. They knew John Stillwaggon.
That's funny.
Because everybody does. But, it's funny. In the times I've seen you perform, or even just in photos, you stand out like a sore thumb.
Yes.
But a good sore thumm.
A diseased sore thumb.
On
in
the
a
mend.
good way.
On the
Yeah,
mend.
on the
On the
mend,
mend.
though. Yeah, it's getting better.
But what's funny is, I'm gonna. You just had a very poignant response to that.
Quick,
I
sing
hope-
it. You won't stutter it.
You have a very
Count it.
poignant response. You had Danielle standing there holding the baby, going, "It's true," like So I'm gonna undercut that and say,
Good.
You also are a type. Do you know that? There are a number of people I can think of I've met where I've gone, he's a John Stillwaggon type. I don't know why. I met a guy, I'm not going to go into who it is. I met a guy, blonde guy, beard, fast talker. He was like selling me on stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is John Stillwaggon. I don't know why. That's like what it is that makes him that.
He's on.
But you're on. That's exactly right.
Are you
You're
ever
on.
tired?
Yes.
What do
I
do?
don't
What do
believe
do?
that.
I've
I
never
don't
seen you
believe
tired. We
that.
know you for a decade. I've
Yeah.
never seen you tired.
What
What do you do when you're tired? I think
he's
goes
like,
a mile
I go
a minute,
to
and then
sleep.
He just da-da-da,
bonk.
and then shuts off.
We'll have to get Carolyn on here for like a like point by point analysis of the last 15 minutes of my day when I go from full on to asleep. No, but I think like I actually think I am either an ambivert or a closet introvert. And I know that many people would not believe that because I'm very like gregarious and like happy in public and stuff. But I adore my time alone. Adore it. And of course my time with Carolyn, but like I love it so much. And I would say I'd have to be an ambivert, like kind of half and half, because I do love people and I love being around people. But quarantine, oddly enough, it was sad for me only in a global sense, just because of everything that's happening in the world was so sad. The actual reality of quarantine was not nearly as hard on me as it was on a lot of people.
I
I
agree.
was actually
agree.
kind of fine, like especially since I was able.
Made you feel guilty saying that, but
No, I
No,
agree.
totally. Like I was able to Zoom with you guys and see you guys. So that, like, if this had happened in the 80s, yeah, it would have been a lot harder.
of course.
But for one thing, I would have been 6. But I don't know what my mom would have done with 6-year-old stuttering John.
6-year-old
I don't know,
stuttering John,
yeah.
having no power in Texas, sitting in a car reading Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh my God. Yeah, with all the curse words.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
6-year-old John with all the curse words.
Yeah.
Stuttering.
But as far as being tired, I know it's different being alone, being tired, but like the social energy, as much as I like enjoy being, especially with you guys, as soon as I get home, I kind of Like,
Right.
I go into sort of a resting mode, which is really nice.
Even his resting mode, I felt like he was doing resting. It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I sit
The choice
sort of like this.
is resting, yes. And cross your legs in 1950s style, which means kind of more uncomfortable for guys than today's more like tabletop style. But there's yeah, it definitely happens.
Yeah.
Once I kind of let down when I'm out of a social situation into like a happy resting mode. What do I do specifically? I like read, chill with our cat Watson. I enjoy that so much that like I'll sometimes I'll feel tired, but I won't want to go to sleep because I love that chill sleepy time so much that I almost don't want it to end. That kind of thing.
I will say it's a weird thing to say to a friend, but I've never met your wife, Carolyn. Never met her.
Never?
Maybe one time.
Yeah.
In passing.
Probably real quick. Yeah.
Very quickly. Mm-hmm. I feel as if it almost would be weird because meeting her would make you a human. I'd be like, here's a person with actual emotions who actually, because you come off, even to us, your friends, this is becoming very social, but you come off as not walls up, but like ready. And like, who could be so ready?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
only him.
Only you.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had many thoughtful conversations with you and still feel like I've never really talked to you. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's
sure.
just because it's just kind of walls up. I'm sure people feel that way about us at times as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know people feel that way. I'm sure they feel that way about you.
Oh, thanks, John. That makes me feel fucking great.
Yes or no? I'm sure.
I maybe.
Because we're ready. Here's the word. We are charming.
You are charming.
All of us, the three of us,
The
right?
charming episode.
Our
So when
combined charm is almost toxic.
The episode is called "We Are Charming."
It's a different kind of toxic masculinity. It's not like the real bad kind. It's the kind of
but
just
it's like
annoying
Aaron
kind.
Brockovich.
But you know
toxic.
what? The me
like
that
Britney
Danielle
Spears
sees,
toxic.
the me that Danielle sees at home, is a far cry from what my people I surround myself see most of the time.
Absolutely.
And that is not the case for everyone. I know it's not. It's not the case for everyone. A lot of the time, you can pretty much draw a line to see what they look like when they're at home. For us, the three of us specifically, the kind of guys we are, it's kind of hard to picture what we're like at home. Just like
There.
because we don't stop.
That's
We
true.
don't stop.
Stop.
The only person who's
But
ever seen
when
me
I-
stop is Danielle.
But when I stop, I like.
You stop. You stop hard. You stop hard on a cliff and fall
No,
off.
I stop. I'll just.
I don't.
I mean, stare at my
I don't
phone,
ever
like,
stop.
you know.
I continue and I get mad at Danielle for not keeping up.
Did you stop? Danielle, do you stop? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Daisy. Daisy's going, eh.
Daisy don't stop.
Daisy's
Can't stop,
stopping.
won't stop.
I want to just.
Can't stop,
I
might
thought
stop.
about something looking at Adele. Adele, do you ever? Is there a John Stillwaggon story with a ripped shirt or ripped pants? There's something that will illustrate him to our listeners. Do you know it already, John? No. You do.
Yeah, there's one where we were doing Peter Pan in 2012, and there's a character that in the script just says the phrase "or 7" to somebody, like that was just the line, but for some reason that kid screamed it at the top of his lungs that day, and John was really good about it. He was like, that was a really interesting choice. But maybe take it down a little bit. And then after, thank you, Daisy. After camp ended that day, that was from an acting camp. We were in a dance studio, and I don't even remember how you got started, but you said you just screamed "or 7"
Yes.
and ripped your t-shirt down the middle. And we were all standing there okay.
Okay, so this is what this illustrates for me, Adele. If you're around him, you have to be ready for his rushes of adrenaline that happens. If it's laughing, he'll punch the shit out of you.
Right.
It's always a high. We saw
Right, that's right.
the Dear Evan Hansen movie with you.
Oh, yeah.
You were very loud
The whole time.
during the movie.
And he said to me going into it, I've never been to the movies with John. I don't know how this is going to go. I said, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know.
Adele could have told you. Adele could have told you.
Just commentary track.
He just ripped his shirt open and jumped N7.
He kept leaning over to us during Dear Evan Hansen, and every 5 minutes being like, oh, is that the guy with the cast? That's the principal? But like loud.
On the record, Evan Hansen should have been Andrew Barth Feldman. We all know this. It's fine.
Former podcast guest Andrew Barth
yeah,
Feldman.
I mean-
Former Charlie Bucket Andrew Barth Feldman.
Right, he was the Charlie
Throw your
Bucket
hands up.
to your Augustus Gloop.
Darn tootin' he was. I died. He lived. So there's no that it shows a few things. One is, as Adele can testify, Adele as like the absolute pride of Act Out Acting School that we ran for 10-ish years, and magnificent actress, magnificent choreographer,
And what a baker.
and what a baker, and what a baker. Among her many responsibilities for Act Out Acting School was to attempt to get me to dress like an actual grown-up. When we started, like by the end, I think I was like halfway decent. I had like khaki shorts. I mean, the same pair of khaki shorts every time. But we had actual like we had like staff T-shirts that looked professional and stuff.
But in the summers, you would just fully clothed walk into the sea and then just come out and that was it. Just dry off in the sun and wear it the next day.
No, but one of the times that he showed up to a rehearsal with the shorts just open.
That's the story I thought of. That's what I
The
meant.
shorts just open because you went in the ocean.
You had shredded
And they-
shorts.
Shredded shorts.
They disintegrated.
Oh yeah, well, listen. I live by Brighton Beach. I swim at Coney Island all the time. Occasionally, the water in Coney Island will actually tear the fabric
It's full of
right
glass.
off. Yeah, right off your. No, I kid. It's a beautiful beach. I love it so much. But what I part of it is most of these shirts were already slightly torn. Mm-hmm. But so. It wasn't necessarily as hard to tear one of these shirts in half as it would be for like the very handsome shirt that Panepinto's wearing right now. You know what I mean? So it was in fact, Adele would probably agree I was putting the shirt out of its misery. Like it was probably time to go.
Well, we had to staple it back together so we could go to Applebee's.
That's right. See, I thought the day was over, and then they said, let's go to Applebee's. I'm like, I now don't have a
So
functioning
they
shirt.
stapled the front of your shirt
They
down.
did, yes. I think I still have it. I think it's like hanging in my closet.
So these kind of things lead me to my next story, which Daisy, prepare yourself for this one.
Uh-oh.
Now you could get angry at me.
Oh no.
There's a chance you're going to get angry at me because I've always been told never to bring this up to you, but I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Oh no.
I don't know it.
I need to hear from your mouth
I know it.
the story about the banana.
Okay.
Okay, don't get mad about it.
No. Oh no.
I've
no.
always been afraid to ask you about this. I've heard
No.
hearsay. I've heard this story from 3 different people. Truncated. We don't have to.
Oh yeah. No, basically, I love Coney Island. Coney Island's a wonderful place. I live down by there, and we'll go to the amusement park a few times a summer. It's delightful. What I will tell you all is the lesson that the young folks learned that day, which is if you see one of those games where there's the bucket and they're asking you to throw a softball into the bucket, don't do it.
It's not going to work.
Stay away, run as fast as you can in the other direction, even if it's into the ocean and it tears your shorts to shreds. Get away from that game, because I played that game in pursuit of the giant banana.
Which I've heard. Yeah.
Just to provide an image for y'all is like, Adele, you know the banana more closely and emotionally than probably anyone. 8 feet long?
Big banana.
Like my height.
No, I thought it was like superhuman.
Maybe a little bit.
Giant banana.
Let's say
All right.
6 feet. A 6 foot banana.
More like 6 feet tall, 3 feet fat.
It's just a banana?
It's a banana. It is a smiley face.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and a hat and hair, I believe. And I wanted this.
Why?
I wanted it for my students.
It's stuffed?
It's actually, side story, It's a large version of a smaller banana.
Yes, I've seen the smaller banana.
Who appeared in a previous play that we done. So we're like, oh my goodness, we have to get this big one.
This is parts of the story I don't know.
And,
I didn't know that
and
either.
I have to exonerate everyone involved. No one was pressuring me to do this. Like, someone might have said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we get the banana? But no one was like, John, you have to do it. No, that was me telling myself I had to do it. I continued to play the game until...
But it's double or not. How does this work? Gives it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I might as well tell you. You start with like $1. And you throw the ball in, and let's say you make it. You move on to the next one. And you have to get it in 10 times.
And stay in.
Yes, the ball has to go into the bucket and stay there. You throw it in. If it sticks, you move to number 2. Same bucket. Mm-hmm. Sticks, you move number 3. But every time you miss, they double what you owe.
Right.
So, and at any time, you can back out, but then you just give the money and get nothing.
Right.
If you get to 10, you complete 10, you get all your money back and you get a prize. Now, let me be clear about this to those who don't necessarily know the math up top. There is no way to win money at this game.
No.
The best you can get is your money back.
And right. And the banana.
And the banana. So I played passionately wanting to win this banana for everyone who was there. And in the process...
Wait. Adele has told the story because there were some kids there with you.
Yes.
At a certain point in the game, the children were crying and screaming for you to stop playing the game, and you kept, and then you had to go to the ATM.
This is what happens when you don't hear the story directly.
I
from
heard,
you.
and then they were like, "Please, you have to stop," and then you had to go to the ATM and pull more money because
Nobody was crying.
No one was crying.
In my head, they were crying.
Some of them might have been like, you don't have to do this at this point. They were like starting to discourage.
You know you don't have to do this.
Yeah, they were starting to discourage. And it was just at the point I was about to run to the ATM that I actually gave up and lost several $100s.
How much do you know?
Because we know.
Can you
Like that-
say how
Oh,
much?
yes, $600.
$600.
American dollars. Yes.
Well, John,
yes.
Adele?
I would like to say, Adele, can you please present us with our special guest we've brought in here?
Who's
with
behind
us
the curtain?
What?
to the show today, behind the curtain. Here it is. The $600 banana.
Coming home, tell the world that I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away.
The $600 banana is in the studio live with us.
Sit it next to you. John, sit it next to you.
Beautiful. Daisy's like, I want to sit on that
John,
banana.
sit it next to you.
Yeah, but sit it next to you.
By the way,
It's gonna stay there for the rest of the show. Let's get it. Let's prop it up here.
no, here's the thing. Okay. Oh, well, wait. Oh, because I have to get back here, don't I? Okay. So here's the thing. Can we give like some major props to Adele? Because this is 9 years old and is in great shape.
It looks great. It's
Sit
way
it up,
softer.
straighten it out a
I'll do
little
it.
He's
I'll
a
do
little
it.
high,
Way
clearly.
softer than I thought it would be.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact, like... Yeah, I remember it being... Maybe it softened over time. I remember it being like rock hard.
But wait, why did they give you the banana if you lost?
Oh, I think it was like they understood... They understood that like...
Does it look good?
They knew how bad we wanted it and how bad I wanted it, and they saw that there were kids there, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can't just take this."
Did they feel bad? Do you think as it was going?
I think a little bit, yeah. Clearly, because I've heard of people losing like $13,000 at these games.
I've heard of you losing that much money. That's the way this story has progressed.
Well, apparently there were children screaming and crying, and gnashing
John,
teeth,
please stop. In my
and
mind,
tearing
that's
their
how-
hair
Wow.
and tearing their clothes and
This
beating their
banana.
chests. No, they
I mean, it's pretty big.
no,
Maybe
it's
not
huge.
$600, but it's big.
$600.
But it's big.
Oh, it's worth every penny.
It's at least
Now,
$100.
worth every penny.
It is beautiful.
It found its way into several of our shows, and it was several of our shows and several of our homes. Because it wasn't with you the entire time, right?
No, it was with Aiden for a little bit.
Yes, it was with
Right.
Aiden, who's another prize, glorious student of Act Out. Wonderful actor, wonderful young man, and wonderful babysitter for this banana.
So
Or
what are you
banana
gonna? What do you
sitter, as I
plan to
should
do
know.
with it
What do
now?
we do with this thing now?
It's coming home. with
You're
me.
taking it.
Oh yeah. It's coming home with me. Unless you guys desperately want it.
Do
Oh,
not.
okay.
I do
Okay.
not.
All right,
No,
cool.
we don't want that.
I mean,
Adele,
it's
are
great.
you sure you don't want the banana anymore? Okay. Because here's the thing. Like, in the wonderful Eric Fitzgerald, your friend and mine, we are now roommates. Not roommates, housemates. I live a few floors above him, as you guys know. And so our apartment is rather spacious. And this could fit the decor rather well. Carolyn actually, together...
Jamaican theme?
Yeah, she did most of it because she's very artistic and very good at painting. But we painted the wall together, and we painted it yellow.
Oh, you have a yellow wall.
Yes, so I feel as if...
Has
it
she
could
met
work.
the banana?
Yes, she was there that night.
Oh.
She was.
The fateful night of the $600. So,
Okay.
yes. So I think she's going to like it.
That's great.
I
Yeah.
think she's
Well,
gonna like it.
I'm glad
now,
to
here's
see
the
you
good
guys
news.
reunited.
If she does not allow me indoors with this banana,
Yeah.
I can always drop it off at Eric's downstairs.
Yes.
Right. There's got to be a storage room somewhere in the
Oh,
building.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just his room.
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's a showpiece.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
It's a conversation starter.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I think we need to call Susan Jasper and see if this can have a spot in the next RTC production.
Absolutely.
I think
Well, if
so.
they do Joseph, it could
Yes, it could be
Sing-
one of the brothers.
could sing the Benjamin song.
Oh, no.
Canaan Days?
Not he.
No, that one.
Oh.
How did I accuse him is a mystery.
So-
I believe it.
It's amazing. Okay.
So, now I want to go back to you being an actor.
We can never go back
As
to
an
anything,
actor,
but that's okay.
As
Good.
an actor, where did you get $600 to spend on the banana?
That's a good question. That's a real good question. No, at the time I was a teacher. In
Right,
fact, at the
right.
time I was more like acting sort of on the side and teaching during the day. And oddly enough, that was just when I was about to leave my teaching job to go on tour for the first time for Magic Theater down in San Antonio, where it was supposed to be a 3-month tour, and it ended up being 7.5 years of touring down there. And wonderful years. And so that's where the specific $600 came from. Fortunately, I knew that I was going to start touring pretty soon, and it was a very interesting sort of leap for me at the time because I was leaving a kind of stable job with benefits and things like that. And everyone will always tell you, as I'm sure each of you have heard, you're all wonderful actors, and I'm sure
Here we go. Let the stroking commence.
you're all getting stroked, whether you like it or not. And there's one thing I've definitely heard is, acting's a tough job. Acting's a tough business.
Yeah.
And what I've told so many young people is, acting, being an actor is hard. Being a teacher is hard. Being a doctor is hard. Being a lawyer is hard. Being a waiter is hard. Being a parent is hard. Jobs are hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
That is the nature of work, is that sometimes it's hard. You might as well do something you enjoy.
Right.
And you're going to struggle and you're going to have difficulty in whatever job you do. Pick something you enjoy so that even your worst days are still pretty good.
Right.
If you're doing something you love. And the other thing people are going to hear when they consider being an actor is, well, when you get started, you won't make much money and you're going to have to have another job to pay the bills. You're going to have another job to pay the bills anyway.
Right. Right.
You might as well be doing something you enjoy in the meantime. And I know,
Correct.
Some people, even people who don't want to, pursue acting as a career, will have the job, a job they work that pays the bills, and they'll act, purely for the art of it and for the fun of it. But regardless what place it has in your life, you're going to have to pay the bills anyway.
Correct.
You
Right.
might as well have something in your life that also fires you up, and maybe someday those will be the same thing.
There you go.
Right.
Thank you.
I want to say about you've done a lot of children's theater. Not exclusively, but that's a big thing of what you've done, especially in Texas.
Yeah.
I've never done children's theater.
No.
I've been in some place where there are kids in the audience, and the kids might laugh.
Sure.
I hate it.
What? Really?
I hate it. It makes me feel goofy, silly. I don't want you to laugh. Is that terrible of me?
No.
It makes me feel like cheap when I have if a kid laughs. And it's not a kid play, but a kid's there and it's a comedy and they laugh. I hate it. And I can't imagine. I must be sick. And I can't imagine But I guess you're going for the thing. Like, I'm going to teach these kids and get them fired up, and that's one thing. But for me, it just made me feel very like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
corny.
guess, but if it's not what you're going for, then I understand.
It wasn't what I was going for.
What were you going? Do you remember having a specific example? Do you remember what you were going for?
It was Hamlet. No, I don't know. I don't remember. It was a comedy, whatever it was. It was a comedy.
It was View from the Bridge.
It made me feel just silly, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Because it's like I'm doing my pretend up here, and you're giggling.
I
Oh,
know,
no.
and I'm gonna just jump in here with response because I want you to respond, and you'll have the real response to the question. I know that I'd never intend to do like goofy kid stuff, but I know I play well to that audience. I know that I'm goofy. I know that. So like when I was doing, I don't know, Seussical, for example, and I was the Cat in the Hat, that was like maybe the most fun I've had with performing, and because I knew I could go so wild because the kids were gonna just love it, and they did. They ate it up. So it feels like and maybe you can say this or no. To me, it felt like when you're doing a comedy, here's a joke, here's the setup, here's the joke, pop, and the audience laughs. With kids, it feels like even if there's 1,500 kids in the audience, when you're making a silly face and the kid laughs, and you make another silly face and the kid laughs, it feels like you are alone in the room with that one kid and you're performing to that one kid. And it feels like a really intimate interaction when there's kids.
After John went into an Applebee's with a stapled shirt down the front, he's not allowed to be in a row
Yeah,
alone with a kid.
right.
I just said
You can't even
alone
feel
with
like
a
he's
kid.
alone in the room with a kid.
As you can tell, much like Frankie, I refuse to be silly under any circumstances, and I always take myself very, very seriously. No, but I understand what Frankie says, and Panepinto, I think you're right on. When we approached children's theater, I think one of the reasons it worked so well, one is Carolyn's a great writer, and she wrote for children, but to me, writing a piece of children's theater, really, all it means is don't use curse words. Like, I mean,
Right.
truly,
Sure.
you're telling a compelling story. You may or may not have a message with children's theater that generally was, because we're like, hey, we have a captive audience. Right. We might as well give them a good message, something to teach them, make their life a little better, more inspired, more compassionate, all these things. But that you don't write down to them, you don't talk down to them, you approach it as theater. It just so happens that it's tailored in some very small ways towards children. 1, no curse words. 2, generally 45 to 50 minutes, just based on the idea that a child is probably, in fact, it is to a child's attention span, but in that case, I think it's also to, we were playing to so many schools, and the school only had so much time. I think it actually had more to do with the school than the kids. Because, when Adele and I were in Othello together, we had a 4 and a 6-year-old student of ours attend the entire 2-hour, 15-minute performance, and they were captivated. So I don't actually believe that a kid can't handle a full-length production, but I do understand, especially when you're introducing them to plays for the first time, something shorter, more digestible. Totally get it. Now, as far as the unintended laughter, the laughter that comes back, there was plenty of that. Occasionally we would get a laugh and I'm like, that's not what I was going for there. I think over time because at some point it might irritate you if you're like, no, this was a sweet, serious moment. Why are you laughing? A few things occurred to me about that. One was, even from adults who get nervous laughter. They don't. Yeah. They have a feeling that must escape them, and they don't know what else to do. And especially, we all know kids do that in a lot of uncomfortable situations. Also, kids have probably sat in front of a lot of children's entertainment where the only appropriate response is laughing. So they think that's all they're supposed to give.
Sure.
And so they start to give it, and they might over time realize, oh, no, it's okay. I can just sit and listen. I could even, maybe be a little sad, maybe be a little angry, also, it's probably something that is still kind of a part of child rearing and child education is be happy, be happy, be happy, be happy. And hopefully, I think with our, in the last few decades, with the new focus on mental health, we'll tell children, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. There's healthy ways to feel these feelings, and no more healthy environment than a theater where we can all feel these things together.
Right.
And so that was something when we had our like Q&A sessions with the kids afterwards that we drove home to them is it's okay. You can love a story that is sad. And some of the plays we did absolutely were sad or absolutely were a little scary or a little, and the kids ate it up. Ate up every part of it, the angry parts, the especially the scary parts. Kids love being scared.
Right.
Love it.
That's the name of the episode.
Kids love being
Kids
scared.
love being scared.
And you're absolutely right that it is a more intimate experience because adults arrive with a series of walls that they are probably going to leave up or take down completely of their own accord. If an adult is moved by a play in the theater, it was moved by they were moved by consent. If you go into a theater and say, I'm not going to like this, you're probably going to walk out not liking it as an adult. Because you know how to protect yourself from an emotional experience if you don't want to have one. It still happens sometimes. Sometimes we've all walked in and been like, oh, what's this about? And really been moved.
It hits you.
But chances are you need to open yourself to that experience as a grown-up. Kids don't have those walls yet, which makes it such a sacred experience. And that was really the biggest difference. It wasn't so much in the style or even the word choice. Sometimes we would use like somewhat more complicated words and trust that the kids would, be able to learn them, through context and stuff. We always wanted it to be something they could understand. But the biggest difference was we knew that this was a sacred experience because the kids are more vulnerable and what your potential there is so great because to teach them and to move them and to inspire them. Half of these kids, probably, of the hundreds of thousands of kids we performed for over the years, half of those kids, 3/4 of them probably had never seen a play before, which that alone was a sacred experience. A third to a half of them may not have understood the concept of verisimilitude and probably very much believed that there were 3 bears on stage during Goldilocks.
Right.
That we were bears. And so once again, that's another level of intimacy that they are seeing it happen in front of them.
Right.
And very often we would have, we would meet them afterwards. Some children's theaters like to have a sort of in character meet and greet afterwards. We wouldn't stay in character because we wanted to show them, no, we're humans.
Right.
We're humans playing bears.
Whereas some companies, they come out as bears. Sometimes they grab them.
Yeah. And there's 3 children were mauled to death today. No, there was
By a human man dressed as a bear.
Right. And so one thing is, if the play was scary, because some of them were scary, to be able to be like, Rumpelstiltskin is actually my friend Jeremy, and he's very, very nice.
Right.
And he, and he's not trying to steal your baby. But the other reason is, exactly. The other reason is to show them, you guys can do this too.
Yes.
Right.
You guys can go home and you can play Goldilocks and 3 Bears, because you're humans and we're humans.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that you're able to tap into why that works, right? Because, you get a lot of times you get someone who's an actor and they're like, I love performing. I think of it this way. I have met in my time many selfish actors who do it for selfish reasons. And you seem like the rare case of an actor who does it for selfless reasons, right? Could be a hindrance, could be a help throughout your career, depending.
I'm so happy that you just said that.
No, but it's true. Ask an actor. You could ask us why we enjoy perform. Why do we perform? Why do we get up on there and perform?
Selfish reasons.
Selfish reasons. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy tapping into a new character. I enjoy making an audience laugh.
Don't get me wrong. Some of the reasons are selfish. I love it. It's fun. Yeah.
Of course.
You're
The art.
challenging
You
yourself,
love
totally.
the art. You challenge yourself, right? I like to challenge myself. I like to feel it. All of those start with I. If you ask me the reasons why I like to perform, save for maybe my one main reason, that's always I.
That's fine.
Right? And it is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when we ask you, it's because your first instinct is to bring up what it means to the audience and what the audience is taking from it and what you can teach from it and what you can what they can grasp, what they can learn, what they can. And I think that's why you're perfectly suited for children's theater, is because the psychological part of it is just as important to you as the selfish I want to perform part of it. You know, I think people who want to perform for their own selfish reasons might have a harder time because they're going to say, I want to play Alexander Hamilton in Hamilton. I want to play Evan Hansen. I want to play this one. If you're doing it for the reasons you're doing it, they're going to go, here's regional Captain Hook, do it for 2 weeks to some kids, and you're going to go, great, that's going to help me achieve my goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You can do that because your reasoning is different, right? Sometimes I look at the stuff you do, and I'm like, this guy's doing all these things. Like, these are things that I would say, no, I'm not going to do that. Right? But that's because...
Him in the ant costume.
But that's because he's not doing it for him. He's doing it for the audience. I would be doing it for me.
That's fine. I'm like you.
Right?
Yeah.
It actually... Because, like I said, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy like the artistic challenge and just the silly fun of it and meeting wonderful people. What I will say is that side of it, of what am I doing for the audience? What am I giving to the audience and pulling out of them and inspiring them, all that stuff, that sustains a 300 performance tour sometimes when what I'm doing for me ain't going to cut it. Because sometimes what I'd like to do for me is to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Which he does
sometimes
15 minutes at the end.
Right. Yeah. What I'd like to do for me is to go to the Yankee game, you know, like, and that's something that young actors might be shocked by and should not feel guilty about. You're going to feel guilty the first time you do a play and you don't want to do it because there's a point in your life when you were like, I would never be tired of this. I could never get bored of this. I could never, you know, anything like that. Do not feel bad if you reach a time that you're like, man, I'm kind of tired. You know what I mean? I'm like, geez, I could use some extra sleep, or this is
I got to phone it in.
And the thing is, when you go up there and you have the chance to say, okay, am I going to just kind of phone it in, you know, go through the motions, stuff like that? Relying on yourself might work. You might find the inspiration and excitement to do this play again, and you might not.
Right.
And if you don't, you can much more reliably find it in the audience and in the people around you.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why I think acting technique in general, the more it focuses on somebody else rather than oneself, is better, because you're going to find something new in each other and exciting in each other.
Right.
Even if it's just, man, I'm tired or cranky or grumpy at myself today, but man, I love these people I'm on stage with. I'm going to go kick ass for them. You know, even if it's as simple as that.
Yep.
You know, and for the audience, you know, I've got something I can give to them, but that's something we would say to each other sometimes if we were like sleepy and grumpy and, you know,
Bashful.
dopey. And well, I mean, we did do, you know, Snow White for a while. But
did you?
No, we didn't actually. There was oh no, there were only like 3 or 4 of us on tour. We couldn't have all 7
Can't
dwarves.
be dopey and grumpy.
Yeah, come on.
You keep running behind the wall and coming out with a different hat.
In Texas, if you're dopey and grumpy, they throw you in jail. But they there was that's something we would say to ourselves if we're like, oh, I don't want to do the show. Occasionally we would have to like have pep talks and be like, the show ain't about you.
Right.
It ain't for you. It's for them. And that actually was kind of liberating.
It worked, sure.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
also takes the pressure off you to, because
I don't have to have the time of my life up here.
Exactly.
I probably will. Like, I probably am going to really enjoy this, but I don't have to.
Right.
Even if this is kind of a tough one for me today, if it's a great one for them, that's the point.
Yep.
So that's
Right.
that's huge.
And it's funny, a lot of the time when you think about a great actor, like I think about you as a great actor, and when you're in something, this guy just claps every time. When I think about a great actor, a lot of the time you think about somebody who's like a method actor.
No.
Right? And you think about like someone when people see you in a show, like when we did Cuckoo's Nest or whatever, and you were playing McMurphy, which is a very challenging role. Typically, they would see you and go, "Oh, he must be a method actor," because you're so there, you're so present, you're so like you know what that character sneezes like, right? And like that's usually what you think. Someone backstage, you can't even talk to them. They're method. You're like the opposite of that. You're not in it until you're in it, because it's an art. You're painting on a canvas here.
Yeah.
You're not actually
The paint.
right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Right. You are the artist,
100%.
not the paint. Whereas some people are definitely the paint.
Don't talk to me because I'm the paint right.
Right.
now.
And I tell
say
them all the
enough.
time. Okay, like remember, like when we did that show, Danny, our friend Danny, great actor, another one of the best actors I know.
Yeah, amazing.
But in that show, you couldn't talk to him backstage because he was playing a crazy person on stage. Off stage, he was mumbling to himself in the dressing room. You can't talk to him. Okay, great. That's the way he wants to be. That's fine. That's what he needs. It's not what you need. I get up there and I think to myself sometimes, am I failing at this?
I knew you were going to say that. Am I doing enough?
Get out of here.
Because I get up there and then people are like, people are like, you got to be in the moment. I'm like, I am 100% aware that I'm in a play. Like
Yeah.
the
I don't think
emotion.
you forget.
The emotion I'm feeling is a choice. I am choosing to emote this way. And I might choose to emote a different way tomorrow. I'm not up there flying blind going, this is how I really feel. It's not how I really feel. I did a whole monologue in a show. And I remember specifically the moment. It was like a 3-page monologue. And I remember doing it. And during it, I was on stage thinking about what am I going to eat for dinner tomorrow. And it's coming out of me emotionally. But I know where I am. I'm not a fool. I know where I am. I know you're there. I know I'm here. I know that I could turn around and say peanut butter sandwich directly to the audience at any given time, which makes me sweat. But, like, I know.
You don't trust what you're going to say.
I don't trust what I'm going to say. Oh, we just did a show. And former podcast guest John Gleese comes up to me and he goes, right before the curtain opens, he goes, I have to tell you, your lyrics last night were crisper and clearer than I've ever heard them before. I said, that's funny, John, because in my mind, I open my mouth, I am a millisecond away from those lyrics not even being there. I don't even know what I'm going to say. I open my mouth. I don't trust myself at all. I don't know what I'm doing. I am so aware on stage that at any moment I could just be like, oh,
tortures
what?
himself, apparently, in his head.
Oh, on stage. Oh, my God. And people are like, you make it look so easy. They tell me you make it look so easy.
But
Like,
you're working,
easy.
pulling the strings. You're pumping the lever.
I'm doing math on the ceiling. I'm out here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, as far as being present, I put a lot of pressure on myself in college to like believe that I was actually on the west side of New York City in 1957 and actually the head of a gang of young Polish teenagers. And
Very specific shit.
Wow, it's
Right.
very specific.
yeah, so
Young Polish teenagers.
I did put a lot of pressure on
West Side
myself,
Story.
and then
And did you believe it?
for moments, but
But you're not there.
and here's the kicker: we can't choose what we believe in this life. We can't choose what we believe. Can't choose what we believe. We can't choose how we feel. If we could
Yep.
choose how we feel, who would ever be sad?
Yep.
We can't choose what we are. A lot of people, if they could, would be like taller or thinner or whatever.
Yep. We can't choose what we eat.
I certainly can't.
Can you?
Wait a minute. What?
What have you been eating?
Giant bananas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is something Adele is going to plug her ears because she heard this 8,000 times when we did camp together. But
your older eyes.
we're not called thinkers. We're not called feelers. We're not called beers. We're called actors. Acting is doing.
Acting
and
is
therefore,
doing.
you don't need to choose what the main concern is not what you are, because you can't control what you are.
Yep.
Can't control how you feel, and you can't control what you think. Don't think of an elephant. Don't think of an elephant. What are you thinking of?
The big banana.
Okay, I mean,
I was
it's,
thinking of an
it's
elephant.
pretty
I was
hard
also
not to.
thinking of the
Yeah,
elephant.
yeah.
I tried not to think of it.
What you can choose is what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Your actions on stage. And the good news is that's more interesting to the audience anyway. What are you doing?
But
all
if
the
you're
time?
fully committing to those actions, they lead you to emotions.
Right, yes, the feelings will come, the thoughts will come, the state of being will come, and it will
Right.
appear to the audience. So for me, the thing I focus on is what I'm doing. I don't concern myself too much with, yes, of course, occasionally my mind will wander and I'll think, well, I'm feeling a little hungry right now. Or I'm, I wonder if the audience is liking the performance. Oh, they laughed at a time. They laughed when I didn't expect them to. That absolutely happens.
Sure.
Sure.
But you focus on the action, and that's where you can anchor yourself.
But
You can
you're
always go back to that.
crafting. You're crafting as you go along. That's part of it too. Is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Like if I and this is I said we weren't going to do this. This is a conversation we've had on the show before. But like if I make a joke a certain way that night, and I know I can get the feel from this audience that they're going to laugh at the joke this way. My mind is already thinking 3 steps ahead. The next joke,
Sure.
I know this audience taste. I'm gonna dial it, tighten the screw a little bit this way because I know this audience likes it, right?
Yeah.
But if I was just really in it, if I was really feeling like, oh my God, my life, then I would not be there to
Right.
to assess what the audience is feeling.
Right, yeah.
But it's funny, like it makes me feel like I always feel like, and I said this to you before, I always feel like I'm a terrible actor because like
No.
I'm making the choice to cry. How are you not making the choice to cry? You're standing on stage. You know where you are.
Right.
Are you
Oh,
stupid?
yeah.
You know where you
Yeah.
are.
No.
You know that there's no wall. You got 3 walls. Those are fake. The phone doesn't really work. But you want to be really crying. That means that you don't know where you are.
Okay.
No, you disagree.
I disagree. It's saying it depends on the type of show you're in. If you're in a comedy and you have to go for laughs, it is extraordinarily intentional and musical. Not a musical, but it's musical, and you're listening to what they're laughing at, and you're catering to them. If you're in a show where you don't need the audience to necessarily laugh, and it's more realistic, you are playing the stakes that are there in front of you. You are not convincing yourself that it's real, but you're fighting for it like it was real, and then the emotions are real and they flow through.
To be fair, I haven't done that in 20 years.
Okay, well,
Well, no.
why.
I think like you.
I think you're right.
Sure.
But I think it depends on what you're working on.
One of the reasons why I find it satisfying to focus on what you do is you can't lie in what you do. You can lie about, you can make a fake feeling or a fake state of being. No, I'm not really a lawyer. No, I'm not really sad. No, I'm not really all these things. But I absolutely am really trying to convince you to go on a date with me.
Yes.
Right.
I don't mean in the scene, Frank Caiati. I'm actually asking you out right now. Please
That's,
don't tell either of our wives.
I'll be yes.
Here for this?
Okay, good. Yeah.
I've been waiting for this
You
for
can
all
come.
these years.
You come with us.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely.
so ready.
Adele,
It's
do
a
you want to
thruple.
No thanks.
Bring the banana.
Bring the banana.
Where did Danielle and the baby go? I don't know.
Turned into the.
They turned into a banana. So I want to play a game.
Yeah.
Two quick rapid fire games,
do
which
it.
tends to be how these shows this season have been going.
Great.
Just 2 quick rapid fire games, and then we end the show.
All right.
So we want to play a rating game. Now, with all things, we
When
haven't
he
planned
looks
this
at
out.
you when you're talking, it's like he's looking at his addled grandfather recalling a war story. He's patronizing you.
No,
and
he's impressed.
patronizing your
RTC's
business.
next
impressed.
production will be John Panepinto as my addled grandfather
Listen,
recounting war
in
stories.
Tuesdays with
I like
Murray.
I like to think he's impressed by my hosting acumen.
I am impressed
Oh,
in
you're
many
acumen.
ways. Francis,
AccuView.
okay?
my AccuWeather forecast.
There you go. We just did it.
Acumen.
Three things we just ripped off of.
Acumen forecast. It's like that time that Carolyn and I went to the new restaurant, and I asked the waitress, I said, we've never been here. I'd love to hear about the menu, please. And she said, the men I please are none of your business.
It's not funny.
That is hysterical. What do you mean it's not funny?
Did she really say that to you?
No,
That's a
come
funny
on.
joke.
All right.
That is a funny joke. The menu, please. So stupid. I want to get around
Okay.
to the rating game, which is so funny because I'm fighting to get around to the rating game when I don't even really know what it is. So we're going to get around to the rating game.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're going to have you rate in Jamaican bananas.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Frank, what is he going to rate in Jamaican bananas?
Actor terms.
Acting-
Things actors
things
say.
actors-
Oh,
say.
okay.
Okay, and how
like
accurate?
the validity of them, are they
Yeah,
good? Are
yeah,
they
Whatever
bad?
you
whatever
think,
you
it
want.
doesn't really
Whatever you want.
Cool.
Okay,
Okay.
Frank, you want to start?
Sure, I'll say just referring to acting as the craft. What do you think of that?
Is this a scale of 1 to 10 bananas?
Yeah. 10 being the best banana.
Jamaican.
600 being the best banana.
Okay, I'm the craft. I'm going with like if it's 1 to 10.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going with 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because it's not poorly intended, but I don't think it reaches the intended audience, if that makes sense.
Right.
It seems to draw a line between certain people, and that's not what acting should do.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the phrase, what is my motivation?
That I'll bump that up to a 5 because I think it's even more well intended. I think it's a good question to have. Here's the thing. It's the director's job to paint a picture and to use you in the picture. What is your motivation? That's actually your job to figure out yourself. Now here's the thing. The reason why that's not lower than a 5 is because you might have that discussion with the director. If you're having a hard time with it, absolutely go to the director. Here's the thing. You may not get an answer because they don't technically have to give you one. If you have a real actor's director, they might work with you to help you find it, but be prepared to find it on your own because that's technically your job.
Yep.
But now, I think that one's used a lot in film. And my understanding in film is that sometimes you shoot things out of order, right? If you're doing a Marvel movie and you have only your pages, you might have to say, well, where am I coming out of? What are we coming out of? What are we going into?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That
and
you
that's
need to
fair.
know. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, you've read the script, but now it's more likely in a play that you have the whole script and could have read the whole script. While you're right,
Right.
in a movie, you may have only gotten certain scenes.
Right, Marvel, they give you only your pages.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, Captain Marvel, she shot her scenes for Avengers Endgame, a few of her scenes for Avengers Endgame, before she'd even shot the movie about her. She didn't even know who the character was yet, and she hadn't read the script.
Challenge.
They were like, here you go. This is your post-credits spot. Do this first.
I bet
And
she
she was
regretted
like,
doing the Jamaican accent.
right.
And then she was
And
stuck
she
in
was
it
like,
for-
I don't even
Well,
know who
Adele
this
didn't.
character is supposed to be. I don't even know what my history is. And they were like, well,
Wow.
we can't tell you
Well,
yet.
for a couple $1 million, I'll figure it out.
Right.
It's okay.
And that's kind of where I'm with it is I'm like, yes, it is important to know your motivation. And in fact, might be fair to ask for the circumstances. In fact, I
Right.
think if you're in an audition and you only have one scene from a play, which will happen to you a lot in like a callback, as you guys know, if you don't know what's going on,
You can't do it.
sure. A better question is, so where's she coming from here? Who are these people to each other? Are they brother and sister? Are they
yeah,
boyfriend
yeah,
and girlfriend?
yeah.
That it's better to ask the circumstances because the circumstances are set. The motivation could be anything.
Anything, right.
And here's the other thing. The motivation is personal. It's whatever fires you up. The director may not know, and they may tell you something that does nothing for you.
Right.
So find out the circumstances, find out where the director wants you to end up, and then you get yourself there however you want to, because that's the other good news. It's an art and not a science, and there's no one right answer. Whatever fires you up to do the job is the right answer.
Right.
What do you think about people who wear shirts that say, I can't, I have rehearsal?
That rose in stock for me. I always thought they were kind of funny. Like I enjoyed them, except that it reminded me of how often I had to turn things down because I had rehearsal. So it probably started at a 6.
Yeah.
It's not the shirt's fault. It's just because it reminded me of a real situation. But then it jumped to like an 8 or a 9.
So you loved it.
Bananas after quarantine. Because the ability to say I can't, I have rehearsal felt so good after all of the time of not being able to say that,
Right.
that I was like, oh, baby, this just feels amazing.
That's the professional actor in it. Didn't feel good for me. Our quarantine came along, and man, the first rehearsal, I was like, I literally said, I was like, I have rehearsal. Oh, I was like, oh God, 2 years of not having to say that. And I'm like, oh,
To do it.
right, right. It's like, oh God, I have to go do something that I don't actively want to
With
do
others?
with other people. I'm not
Others?
choosing to do this.
Absolutely.
Oh, I had a good one. Do you have another one?
I do, yeah.
I had one. Go ahead.
When people have tote bags that say, if all the world's a stage, I want better lighting.
That's a good one. His are mostly merchandise based.
I'm dropping that one to like a 3, because I just am not a big fan of anything, theater related or otherwise. That's like a T-shirt that's just a built-in complaint.
Okay,
I'm like, I
fine.
don't know. I'm like,
Okay.
it's fine to like, I don't know. It's fine to like share your grievances with people in the world.
Yeah.
Especially if something's making like an injustice or something, or to just shoot the breeze with your friends and be like, work was tough today, whatever. To walk into a situation and advertise your own negativity to everyone in the room is like, come on, man.
Is your last name Stillwaggon or Long-Winded? Okay, go ahead. Your turn.
What about people who say all the world's a stage?
Oh, how about that's a great one.
It's, that might be sort of depend on the context, but all things considered, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 because it's a great line. It's a great speech. It's something that is probably taken out of context a lot. Like people saying like, well, everything's fake. You know what I mean? Which is not what Shakespeare meant at all, is that you have different parts to play over the course of your life, and they're going to change. So I think I'm going to give it 6 because a lot of people use it right, but a lot of people use it wrong.
I'd like to just say this. If we could have 10 seconds on the clock, Adele, convince me in 10 seconds to like Shakespeare, because I don't.
Okay. Shakespeare invented the human being as we know it. Before he came around, the characters did not have a self and an individuality of themselves. They were forces of nature.
Seconds.
Okay, yeah.
I still don't. I still don't like him. Okay.
I mean, you could keep going. I probably wasn't going to put the timer there.
Do you like Shakespeare?
No.
I can't get into it.
It's not that I don't like Shakespeare. I like the concept of Shakespeare. I don't know. It's never hooked me. Danielle likes Shakespeare a lot more. Now, I'm pointing over there. It's currently a giant banana.
Yes.
And not Danielle. But Danielle...
Oh, that's not Danielle.
Danielle does like Shakespeare a lot more than I do. I've never performed Shakespeare. Danielle has performed not exactly Shakespeare, but Shakespearean dialogue. And it's something I guess I would want to do, but I feel like I can't.
My problem is I want to like it,
forsooth.
but it's like I want to appreciate the story, but I'm so mad saying, what are they talking about? I don't know what they're even saying.
Yeah.
I can't even appreciate what's happening if I don't know what they're saying.
But you love
You
Willie.
love it.
You love
I know you love it.
Love it.
You love doing it.
I think that if it's done right, you should be no more confused than you. I want to say you'd be no more confused than you'd be at the opera. You know what I mean? That like, because it's musical, it's rhythmic, it paints a picture with sound and with movement. That if it's done right, you should have a strong sense of what is happening. Even it's a big misconception that children can't follow Shakespeare. They totally can. It's just that through the tone of voice, through the physical action, through the intention and the painting of the picture on stage, it should be clear. Besides the fact that most of the words he uses are our own words. It's just they are peppered with a lot of bare bodkins, where you're like, yeah, okay, what the hell does that mean? But hopefully you're seeing a picture being painted, and you're like, I get what that guy's going through. I missed some of those words in there, but that's if it's done well. And obviously it's not always done perfectly, and it's not always done particularly well. But I think that's the goal of our modern Shakespeareans is to provide that type of experience.
Right.
Modern bodkin.
Well, I've said before that I think that Shakespeare is a great teaching tool because it teaches kids to rely on their expression, their vocal emotion, because you are challenged with conveying a story and a character, even if you cannot understand a single word of it. You want to be. The goal is to be able for the audience to still understand it by the way you're performing it.
Yeah.
Through the words, right? So that always stood out to me as like, well, that's something that's very cool about Shakespeare. Is that if you can get the words in there, very cool. But even if you can't, you should be able to understand. This is an extreme, but I was like, you, in my mind, should be able to understand a well done Shakespeare on mute.
Yeah. Oh,
you know
sure,
what I mean?
Sure,
not,
sure.
Not
Yeah.
completely, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The only Shakespeare I've read are people. There are people who write
I know what you're gonna
movies in Shakespearean
say. Prose.
prose.
Yeah.
So like I have read
the Star Wars ones.
I've read the
Yeah,
Star Wars
yeah,
ones.
they're
I've read
great.
the Ghostbusters one a
Big
couple of
Lebowski,
times.
do you have that
Big
one?
Lebowski is great. Two Gentlemen of Lebowski.
Oh, nice.
I just bought the Wizard of Oz one. I have not read it yet. Though, so obviously it's not the words that get in the way because I love reading those.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. Sometimes it. I want to ask Adele a question real quick, and you guys can jump in too. What are our thoughts on 90s comedies that are about teenagers that are actually just Shakespeare plays, veiled Shakespeare plays? Are you familiar with that concept?
They are the best.
They're the best, right?
Clueless and
Clueless.
As You Like It. What was the one with Amanda Bynes?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the man.
She's the man.
She's
Clueless.
Ooh, yeah.
She's the man.
What's Clueless based
10
on?
Things I Hate About
10
You.
Things I Hate About You.
Clueless was based on Emma by.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got Get Over It, which is Midsummer Night's Dream.
Lion King.
okay.
The Lion King.
There you go.
Oh. Mm-hmm. A lot of good ones.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That was a big trend in the 90s.
That was a
the
big
early
trend.
2000s, late
Yeah.
90s. Big trend of let's take Shakespeare and put it in a high school.
Well, it's royalty-free content.
There you go.
I suppose that is
Yeah.
true.
Should we do our last?
We should do our last game. I had a question for you that I don't know if anybody's ever asked you before. But as I'm doing this interview with you and looking at you, and you who are watching this at home can know, do you hope, is your goal to break out of regional or you're currently doing some off-Broadway stuff or whatever, to do like on-screen acting? Are you hoping for that to be the case, or are you just waiting for them to make a biopic of Joe Biden so you could play young Joe Biden? You literally look so much like Joe Biden. It's not.
like
It's
Joe Biden.
not even funny.
He does.
Another recovered stutterer.
Yeah,
Biden.
that's right.
Oh,
You really look like
yeah.
a young
There you go.
Joe Biden. No, but that leads me to that as an actual question.
right.
Like, yeah, do you want to do? You want to make the transition to
You know,
screen, or you're happy where you're at?
I've done a decent amount of film. Right now, between the off-Broadway show I'm in, I also do a lot of like small TV film gigs. You know, like a lot of it's like small background stuff. And I enjoy it. I think I prefer the stage.
Sure.
And I like what I'm doing right now. I could do this pretty much indefinitely, but I want to get to Broadway.
Yeah,
Yeah, if at all possible.
that's great.
And I think it is possible, so I want to get there.
Where I remember seeing you on the Chappelle Show. You were in that sketch in the restaurant. in the Chappelle
Yes,
Show.
yes.
I
And
didn't know that.
you want to talk about acting? They put me at a table with no one because the other side of the table was off screen.
Yeah, you go.
I had to pretend to talk to someone.
That's acting.
Wow, what an actor.
I had to
acting,
talk
baby.
to myself, which
Give
I had a
him a
lot of
raise.
experience in.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
that was
Give
yeah.
him a raise.
All right, last game. That was a great answer, by the way. I undercut it with a reference. but that was
That's
good.
right.
We all have these things that we do. This is a good way to wrap the show. Why we're all so stupid. The three of us
Also,
have these things that we do.
Yeah.
They're like annoying actor things, and I know sometimes they drive Danielle crazy. Where it's like we do this where we're given a task, and
Yeah.
it's like at a random time, and Adele does it all the time too. As a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about
Yeah,
it,
Adele, when you walk out of the house, whenever I pick Adele up, I call her or I text her and I'm like, walk out of the house like you just got into a heated argument and you're so mad. And then I pull up and she does the thing.
yeah, these are
It's
things we
true.
do. You remember when we were in the
Yes.
pool?
Oh,
we were in
man.
the pool,
Great.
and it was just like, pretend you've never seen water before, and you're suddenly just like freaking out in the
Great.
pool.
It's great.
He makes me do Man Dies,
You
which
ever
I've
see him
never
do Man
done on the show
Dies?
before.
Okay.
Okay, so this came from
This is great.
This came from I was leaning against a wall, and there was a nail in the wall,
Sticking out, like
sticking
pointy,
out,
pointy
right
out.
next to my head.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "What if I just slowly lean back and just like cheese the nails?
Soft
just
cheese, you
went
said.
in the back of my head. And I
Oh
just
my God.
died. I was like, man dies doing things.
Yeah.
And he always makes me do man dies doing blank.
So the part you're looking out for here is the exact millisecond life leaves him.
Right, right.
That's what
so.
you're
What do you
looking
want me
for.
to do? You want me to do one?
Man dies while listening to a guest.
Okay. So John, tell us about San Antonio, Texas.
it's a nice place. And, it's a city that doesn't know how cool it is. I think it has kind of a like self-effacing complex, and really, it's a really cool, like strong artsy town.
Dead. Did you notice life left him?
It's
I
not
bored
so
him to
subtle.
death.
It's not so subtle. Sometimes it's more subtle. Sometimes it's just literally just like gone. But then other times it's just if he has me like man dies while standing. So I'm just immediately I have to clap.
Right.
I can't just keep standing there. It's easy if I'm just laying here. I'm just like something I could just eye focus just goes nowhere.
We love Man Dies.
So stupid.
It's the much more morbid. How was a real man eat that chocolate cake?
Right.
Yeah.
Why do we do these
And
things?
dangerous.
Why do we do this?
And dangerous.
Why do we do these things?
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it just challenge because we like to see if we can?
No, because we know the other person's going to do it and it's going to be funny. It's not to try to make you not be able to do it.
No, but I think it's because we all have a grasp. I'm going to wrap this around to John specifically, not so much us. We pretend we don't get paid for it, and we do it just because
You do it amazingly, though.
We're,
Let's be real.
we're men willing to do it.
Yeah.
We have this concept, this grasp of real human life, real things that happen to real people, the minutia of the
Yes.
everyday.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a successful actor.
Yeah.
Someone who's willing to throw themselves 100% into the details of what makes you a believable person in a situation. Sure. So, John, you could be playing Captain Hook, who's an over-the-top pirate, but you're going to do it that, like, if suddenly a tomato came in from off-screen and hit you in the face, you'll react as Captain Hook because it's the little things that it's the unexpected things that you dive so well into, right? And so that's what makes you, I think, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
such a I was going to say prolific. Such a fantastic performer.
Thank you.
Because of your willingness to just go, right?
Thank you.
And I think that sets you apart, and that's part of why we wanted to have you in here because, I mean, listen, and from a selfish perspective, even just doing the screenplay readings over quarantine, I mean, you made those things so much more than they even honestly even really should have been.
Oh, come on.
You know,
Because you were all in.
yeah, definitely.
My neighbors know. We got several noise complaints about
Oh,
Elf.
Elf.
And, what was, Mrs. Doubtfire was actually when Carol and I were moving back to New York from Texas. And that night we were staying in a hotel. So they were really confused. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you did actually, I alluded to it before, you did actually do one during that big Texas blackout. You did one in the car because it was the only place you had electricity. Where you could just as easily have been like, can't do it tonight. guys."
No, you got to do it.
Gotta do it.
So I want to thank you for coming in and doing this with us.
Thank you.
It's been, of course, fun. We knew it would be a little off the rails, a little all over the
There were
place.
no rails.
This is what we wanted.
No
This is what we
rails.
wanted. Where can people find you socially if you so choose? Do you have an
Okay.
Instagram? Do you have,
I am I'm a bit of an old person when it comes to social media. I only have the Facebook, but you can absolutely check me out at John Stillwaggon on Facebook. That's 2 L's and 2 G's.
Yeah.
That's the old trip up of the.
We got to
of
get you a
the
website.
thing.
You don't have a website?
I don't have a website yet.
We got to get that happening.
Oh,
Danielle,
yeah.
come on.
Who does websites over here?
The banana. It's the banana.
Cut to the banana.
Yeah, the banana will definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you're in a show right now.
Yes.
But I cannot say, when does the show close?
It closes on December 30th.
Okay, so I think it will still be open. I think the show will still be
Okay.
open. Let's talk about the show real quick.
Just
Yeah.
say
Okay,
the name
cool.
of it because the name is enough to sell tickets.
It is Swan Lake the Rock Opera.
I can't.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a fun show. It's obviously a very different take on the original source material of the ballet. And just to give you an idea of how different, I play the villain Rothbart. And instead of being a wizard, an evil wizard, I am a coke-addled pimp.
And what do you play?
It's a soundbite I'm going to take. I am a coke-addled pimp.
I'm John Stillwaggon, and I'm a coke-addled pimp.
But the cast is phenomenally talented, really nice people, and I think this is the most evil bastard I've ever played.
Could you just sing us the chorus of one of your songs?
Are you allowed?
Yeah.
Yes, I can sing for you.
See, he'll never not do it. See, I knew it.
The lion is wild and crazy, madly in love. All of the stars are blazing. Were they blazing? Glad you asked. Blazing above.
Oh,
So, yeah,
wow.
that's-
I
Wow,
love it.
I bought tickets while he was singing.
I love it. And so the show is...
It is running till December 30th. It runs every Thursday night,
It's amazing already.
7 p.m.
So good.
at the Actors Temple Theater in Hell's Kitchen, 47th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues.
Love it. And that's off Broadway.
Yep.
Is there a website? Do we know the website?
SwanLakeRockOpera.com.
Great.
Check
we
that
will
out.
put it
Of course.
up. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And we will come. We're going to come see it.
Do it.
I'm committing to that.
Oh, yeah.
We got to find a Thursday.
Yes,
seven.
you'll have
Thursday
a
at
great
7.
time. You'll have a
Yeah,
great time.
love it. John, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Give him a round of applause.
You've been watching the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, a cool side production with your hosts, John Panepinto and Frank Caiati. Produced by me, Danielle Rose Fisher, with contributors Tom Zaccheo, Adele Wendt, Doug Shine, Joe Hagopian, and Matt Hunt. Find us online and watch full episodes at nothing-podcast.com. And be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are distributed.